Hi, this is Elise, and I am here to introduce episode 2 of the Because of Horses podcast. Today is Friday, October 27th. Now, before I do, I would be remiss in not talking about episode 1, which was released last Friday, October 20th. And the guest for episode 1 was Jesse Haas, who is a prolific writer of more than 35 horse books for adults and children. I had a wonderful conversation with Jesse, and if you haven't had a chance to listen to that conversation yet, I'd really encourage you to. Jesse, like so many of us, started out as a horse crazy girl, loved books, loved to read, read avidly. And for those of us who read horse books as kids, that means Walter Farley, Inherit the Wind, all of those. So it was really kind of fun reminiscing a little bit there. Um, but she shared her experiences in growing up and the path that she took to become the author that she is today. I know you'll enjoy hearing about Jessie's path and following her dreams, and just learning more about what she's experienced and how her life is going these days. She and her husband, who's also a prolific author, live on a beautiful property in Vermont, along with a couple Morgan horses, cats, dogs. It just sounds wonderful. And they built the house themselves, but I don't want to spoil it because it's kind of a great story. Today, with the release of episode 2, you'll get to know Sue weekly. Now, Sue's path entailed a years-long process that led her to become the prolific equestrian reporter and photographer that she is today. So many wonderful things about Sue's story, but she's made a name for herself in sharing the human interest side of international dressage competition. She's been published in magazines like Equus, Practical Horseman, Chronicle of the Horse, Dressage Today, and EQ Living. The competitors that Sue reports on and photographs are international athletes at the highest echelon of the sport. For us, horse people, they're the A-list celebrities. And it was so wonderful hearing Sue talk about her interactions with them. She shares some really funny stories, and you'll enjoy it. Just give it a listen. Sue also has a wonderful, infectious laugh, and I think you'll find her experiences just as inspiring and entertaining as I do. As for my own journey, this week has been phenomenal, and it's been an absolute whirlwind, starting with Because of Horses podcast being selected by Player FM as a top equestrian podcast for 2017. Now, while we've got a number of, I think we're at 9, maybe 10 right now, already completed podcasts scheduled for release every Friday. So far, with episode 2 being released today, that's just 2 episodes out. So it was especially gratifying that just based on what's been produced so far, Because of Horses was selected as a top podcast. So yay! You can. I'm trying to think of what else I need to tell you. It's just been so crazy. Where to find the podcast? So Google Play, Android, iTunes, Player FM, Stitcher, TuneIn. It's all over the place, including my own website, which is www.becauseofhorses.com. In the upcoming weeks, you'll hear from a wide array of really fascinating people from, oh my gosh, a thoroughbred horse racing powerhouse who is passionate about making the sport accessible to newcomers, an internationally recognized photographer, a National Geographic, oh my gosh, filmmaker, and conservationist, and his story is incredible. Husband and wife country western performers, and the role that horses have played and continue to play in their own lives. The president and founder of the largest supplier of Western show apparel in the world. She's amazing. Anyway, I bet you'll recognize a number of my upcoming guests, and not just from the horse world. They're from all over the place, and it's really fascinating to me the role that horses have played in their lives. And they're not necessarily people that you would think of as horse people, air quotes. In all of these conversations, I've come to realize that these inspiring individuals share many of the same characteristics, and it's not just the horses. It's courage, it's tenacity, it's faith in something, whether in God or their own personal vision, or in the firm belief that anything is possible with enough hard work and that the world really is a great place. Their positivism is just wonderful, and I keep saying inspiring, but it's really inspiring. And despite whatever rough patches each has experienced and those moments of self-doubt that we all inevitably feel because we're all human, these folks were able to move through it all and to just keep going. Um, they're also lifelong learners. They're curious about the world around them and intensely interested in exploring everything. They are also incredibly humble and remarkably generous, giving back to the community, trying to make the world an even better place, helping the next generation, and sharing their stories with a fledgling podcaster. Thank you guys so much. So, with no further ado, I hope you'll enjoy episode 1 from last Friday, episode 2 from today, and continue to be as fascinated and inspired by my guests as I am. Thank you for listening to the Because of Horses podcast. I'll see you around.